Hi everyone, welcome back to Vegan Me. My name is Wendy and I wanted to talk to you about my top 5 shockers since going vegan. So what I did was I sat down, I got the idea actually because I made a comment in my recent Vegan Cuts video, and I sat down and put together a list of things that I think were the real biggies. Now, aside from all of the learning that I've done in terms of cruelty to animals, hazards to the environment, health benefits, things like that, I thought that there were more than that. You know, there was just a lot more, and I could probably talk for hours and hours and hours, but I wanted to put together just maybe my top 5 biggies of things that have just completely shocked me, and I wanted to share those with you. And if you're interested in knowing about my top 5 shockers since going vegan, stick with me. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing, and I maybe don't have these in any particular order. The first thing is that animal products are literally ubiquitous in consumer items. In other words, they are in everything. They're in so many different things. I shouldn't say everything, but a lot. A lot of the things that I was using before had animal products or animal byproducts in them. I remember at one time, I have one cat, actually. She's 10 years old, and she loves to eat plastic bags, you know, the ones that come from the supermarket. And I asked my vet one time, this was a while ago, why is it that she eats these things? Because she would just sit and chew on them. She would seek them out, she would find them, and then she would eat them. And the vet said that, you know, well, a lot of times in the production of those plastic bags, they use animal oils or something that comes from an animal, and that the cat picks up on it and thinks it's food and eats it. And that, I guess, shocked me at the time, but I'm telling you, the shocker was once I decided to go vegan and started reading up on what I could and couldn't, you know, either use or eat, I really was surprised at the things that I found out. And just a few of the things, just to give you an idea. I love Altoids. You know, that's one of the things that I used to, you know, eat all the time. Loved the fact that they freshen your breath, but I also loved the taste of them, the texture, everything. They have gelatin in them. And of course, gelatin is a byproduct. Actually, it's an animal product. So obviously, I don't eat Altoids, but it's also in gums, candies, of a lot of the stuff that you see in the yummy section of the store, so you have to be really careful about that. It's in a lot of skincare and body products, as we've talked about on a lot of my other videos. So there, you know, I had to look at shampoos, body lotions, self-tanners, face creams, eye creams, you know, all of those things have some ingredient in them that can contain animal products. So I was just shocked at the amount of those that were out there. Makeup products was another thing I never knew, you know, I never really thought about it. I will say that I considered animal cruelty or cruelty-free brands prior to going vegan, but I didn't realize that even a cruelty-free brand can use products that come from animals, which is confusing to me, but that might be another video. So we'll leave that for another day. Clothing, you know, obviously you know about things like leather and suede, but what about silk? What about, you know, other byproducts of animals, wool, you know, not thinking about these things. Once you start to do your research, you realize. And another thing is that you can't just look at, like for instance, you go out to a restaurant, you can't just look at what's on the menu and read the ingredients on the menu. You have to actually ask, because a lot of times, especially in America, we add butter or cream or egg or whatever to a lot of different things. It's actually a really easy process. You can ask for an allergens menu, you can ask the server, and a lot of times the chef's happy, depending on the category of place you're at, the chef would be happy to whip something up for you. So anyways, I don't want to say that as a negative point, but really the reality is animal products are in a lot of stuff. So let's go on to something really positive. All animal products, all of them, have a plant-based replacement. Now this was a real shocker to me because I thought, you know, going vegan, yeah, that's great. Okay, I can eat a few things. I'm going to be eating a lot of vegetables, which luckily I really liked, but I had no idea the vastness of what is available out there that can replace the things that you were used to eating. And when you first become vegan, the easiest way to do it is to replace everything you normally eat with something plant-based so that you don't feel like you're doing without, you know. And now we'll be honest here, there are some really good replacements out there, and there are some that are not so good, but by the vast majority of them are really good. So things like mayonnaise can be replaced with Veganase, which really Earth Balance makes one, but there's several other companies that make them. I recently found that you can also get vegan mayonnaises that are not in the refrigerator section, which is nice because you can keep it in your pantry. Unfortunately, I'm finding my refrigerator is not as big as I would like it to be. You can replace eggs, so you can use either ground flaxseed to make a mixture that can be scrambled up, or, you know, mostly for cooking and things like that. If you're making pancakes, waffles, whatever, you need that consistency in order for the binding agent. There's also something called egg replacer, and there's other products that you can use. Banana, for example, you can use in lieu of eggs in pancakes. Or pancakes, waffles. So there, eggs, you know, I've also made scrambled tofu, which I was just shocked at how I could start with a block of tofu and in the end up with something that tasted like scrambled eggs and was really good for breakfast. So you don't really have to do without. Bacon, that was one of the things I thought I'd never have again. But they make tempeh bacon, they make I think a soy-based bacon. I was a little disappointed that the Morningstar bacon that I had been eating for years actually is not vegan because it has egg in it, but that didn't mean that I wasn't able to open myself up to all of these other options that were available. I find that I almost never eat it anymore because it's not necessary, but it was there for me in the beginning and I found it very satisfying. Chicken, beef, fish, scallops, crab meat, all of those things can be replaced with a plant-based option. And I was shocked too, again, at the texture and how these things, Gardein is one of the brands that makes a variety of different things. They actually have one of the best burgers that I've ever had that comes so close to being like a regular hamburger without grossing me out, because the idea of eating beef is not something that I really want to do, but I like the texture and I like that smoky flavor, and we were able to get that with the Gardein. There are others, you know, I've found a lot of recipes and things like that. If you want to make things from scratch, make them more healthier, you can certainly do that. The chicken that Gardein has, the fish sticks that Gardein has, you can also make scallops out of tofu. It's really fascinating to me how you can literally replace all of these things. So cream sauces, gravies, you don't have to give those up either, because by using the plant-based milks and other thickeners, the plant-based butter and flour, you can, you know, maybe make a little mushroom gravy. There's also things like beef flavoring and chicken flavoring that you can purchase. I haven't used those yet, but I would imagine they're pretty yummy. If you really need those, especially in the beginning. Cheeses, you don't have to give up the texture and taste and meltiness and creaminess of cheese. You can either make them yourself with ground nuts, or you can buy them. Daya makes a fabulous variety of cheeses that I've made quesadillas. We put them on burgers, melted them on I made some tuna melts one time. That's a funny story. But there are cheeses that you really get that satisfying flavor. You can make macaroni and cheese that tastes really, really close to regular, you know, animal-based macaroni and cheese. But once you go vegan, of course, you're not so much interested in that animal taste, but you want the texture, the familiar sauces and things like that. And a lot of that stuff is actually vegan. A1, for example, who would have known that A1 steak sauce is vegan? And you can use that to make a lot of foods taste less vegan and taste more satisfying. Whipped cream is another thing you don't have to do without sour cream. I have bought some of the store-bought sour creams, but I actually like mine better, where you just take Vegenaise, mix it with lemon juice until it gets to the right flavor and it tastes like sour cream. You use it on tacos, potatoes, whatever. And there was something else that just slipped my mind. Oh, cream cheese. The tofutti cream cheese taste, I think it's called not so cream cheese or not cream cheese, I can't remember the name of it, but it is so good. You put it on a bagel that, you know, has been made without egg, and they're just fabulous. These things, I could go on and on, but that's a good example. You just don't have to do without anything. As you go along, you may find that you want less of those things, so you put less of those into your daily diet, but or maybe just put a little bit in a recipe. But the idea is that you're not having to do without anything. Okay, the next item, number 3, your body changes. Like, I had no idea how much my body was going to change. I'm trying to think, like over the past year and a half, maybe before going vegan, noticed that my feet, I was having a lot of problems with my feet. And they just hurt all the time, and I was starting to get what I thought were bunions. My grandma had bunions, so why wouldn't I have bunions, right? And my feet hurt, so I started getting bigger shoes, and I had always worn like a size 8 to 8.5, depending on the type of shoe. And like all of my shoes were size 8, and so I started buying 8.5s, and in some cases I was getting 9s, because, you know, you always end up having to go up a half size higher. And I would say about 2.5 weeks after going vegan, my shoes started falling off my feet because I was so puffed up. And of course, we thought that what was making us puffy was the salt. The reality is it was all of it. You know, you had all those things together, all of the hormones, the chemicals that are in the meat, the natural chemicals that are in the meat as a result of the trauma of, you know, being slaughtered, and all these other things are going into your body and affecting your body, and I had no idea. Sense of taste and smell, absolutely, totally different from before. I have a really, really good sense of taste. I don't need to salt my food as much. My sense of smell, things smell so much better to me now. And things that aren't vegan animal products do not smell good to me. How I smell, I believe, has changed, or how you know, other people that I know are vegan smell different from people who eat meat. And I think that's just probably just associated with the different chemicals that the body creates in order to digest that food, and then how it comes out of the pores and things like that. How my skin looks. My skin has completely cleared up. Like, I very rarely have a breakout of any kind. Maybe a little, if I use a little bit too much of a certain type of oil on my face, I might get a little bump here or there. But for the most part, completely clear, even. Your stats, you know, your blood work, whether it's your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your calcium levels, whatever in your blood that may have been elevated or lower than it should be, they return to a level of in the normal range. And I recently had my blood drawn, and everything was normal. My cholesterol is a little bit over what I would like it to be, but that's because I stopped taking my anti-cholesterol, you know, my cholesterol lowering medicine when I went vegan. And my doctor was like, well, who authorized that? And I was like, well, nobody, but I thought since I was going to do all this to my body that I should stop taking that stuff. Not because I think anybody else should, just because that was for me. And my cholesterol is now lower than it was like when I was 19. So anyways, my blood pressure has always been low, so that wasn't a problem. But everything else was where it was supposed to be. All my vitamins are where they're supposed to be in my body. My calcium, my vitamin D, everything was perfect. So I have absolutely no complaints there. Nuisance aches and pains. I used to have a lot more nuisance aches and pains, and I think that had to do with inflammation, because I believe that the lack of puffiness also kind of goes along with the inflammation part. And as a result, my feet don't hurt anymore, my muscles don't hurt anymore, I don't have neck pain or back pain or, you know, any of those things that I used to have. And I never hardly ever take pain relievers of any kind unless unless I get a cold or something. But I'm really happy with that part. No aches and pains. No more puffiness. I talked about that. I didn't realize how puffy I was. You don't know. You don't pay attention to those things. Less moodiness. I would definitely say I'm much more stable. I have less reactions to things. My cortisol, my cortisol, my serotonin, my dopamine all seem to be just on this nice even keel, and I'm really enjoying that, because I really think that the other people around me probably are enjoying it as well. So that's a good thing. And there's more, like I said, there's so much more I could talk about, but I wanted to keep this a little bit short, although none of my videos are over that short. So number 4, there are so many things that are vegan that you never knew about. So it's funny when people ask, you know, what do you eat? You know, don't you just eat carrots and lettuce? Well, no, you know, what can you eat? You know, it's almost like they would say, oh, here's a rock. Can you eat that? You know, is this vegan? It's surprising, you know, things that are good and things that aren't so good. You know, you can still have a little junk food. There's still, you know, Oreos are vegan. A lot of potato chips are vegan. Ritz crackers are vegan. Believe it or not, a lot of the butter flavored popcorns are vegan. Of course, you need to check those things, and there's that great app that I talked about in one of my other videos that you can check everything at the store. I have a kitty scratching the wall underneath the desk. Sorry about that. A lot of Indian food is vegan. It's funny because when I go to Indian restaurants, and I always ask them about everything because I'm not sure about the cheese and, you know, egg or whatever, and they always look at me like I have 3 heads, because a lot of their stuff is vegan, and they say, no, everything, you know, all the soups are vegan, da 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 da. But I never knew that. I had no idea. So there's just a lot of things. Commercial breads and rolls, most of them, unless they say egg rolls or, you know, egg bread or whatever, most of them are vegan. You will find a lot of the stuff made in bakeries, though they use eggs and milk in, but boxed pasta, another example of something that I never knew was vegan. As a matter of fact, I thought I wouldn't be able to eat it. I thought I'd have to go to a special store to get vegan pasta. But so a lot of tomato sauces, a lot of your canned tomato sauces are also vegan. Lots of options of things that you never would have even thought about, but in addition to all of the other things that we talked about are vegan. So I didn't know what I thought I knew. This is number 5. And I think that those of us that are vegan and we interact with people that are non-vegans every day, we realize this in abundance, that people clearly they just don't know. It comes as a result of probably the blinders that we have to have on in order to eat animals, you know, in order to eat them and sort of allow them to go through what they have to go through in order for us to eat them. We need to tell ourselves that we have to eat meat, otherwise we would die, or that we have to eat meat or we wouldn't get enough protein or calcium, or, you know, we would be unhealthy, or, you know, all those vegetarians, they just never look healthy, and all these things that we tell ourselves. None of it's true. And once you go down the road of researching and understanding, you realize all of this. And being, for number 1, being vegan is like a piece of cake. It really is. There are occasions, there are a few times when you run into a situation where it's a little inconvenient, but, you know, it really is by and far easier than any other diet that I've ever been on, even a non-diet diet. It's just easy. I find it very easy. Retailers and restaurants are so happy to accommodate you. I think there's one restaurant and one social gathering, I guess, if you will, that I've been at that where they didn't have much to offer. I did have a meal bar in my purse, this is just crucial. I've heard others, Whitney from Eco Vegan Gal, she talks about you have to be prepared. She's absolutely right. Make sure that you have meal bars with you, and that way you will never go hungry. You eat that while everybody else is eating their food, and people eat pretty fast. The next thing you know, you're on to something else and you didn't really miss anything. You can always eat again when you leave whatever that event is, and it's really not that big of a deal. I don't have to go hungry or give up my favorite foods. That's something else that I never knew. I thought that I was just going to have this whole list of things I couldn't have. Now, granted, I can't have something that looks like a lobster, but you know what? I don't want one now. I don't want crab legs. I don't want oysters. Those things I enjoyed, and believe me, I was about as carnivorous as you can get, but I don't want them now. I just don't have the desire to put them into my body. It just makes me feel like I would not feel good. I wouldn't get energy or nutrition or anything that I needed from those things. So I don't miss them. I can almost always find something to eat everywhere I go, and I have to get creative about that, but I have been able to, eat at a buffet, and I get this and I get that, and, my plate has this little variety of little things on it, but after I'm done eating that, I'm satisfied, I'm happy. I didn't miss the fact that I didn't eat the salmon or, those other things that weren't part of what I want to eat. So I feel and look much better. I mean, I have to be completely honest. I have lost about 18 pounds. I didn't look fat by any means. I think a lot of it was fluid and from inflammation, and of course there was some fat mixed in there, but by and far I've always been a skinny stick of a person, and I feel like I'm going back to what my normal body weight is, and I'm really happy about that. My skin looks better. I feel like I just overall look healthier. I now see vegans as healthy looking. I never used to. Vegans were always the extreme. I used to think vegetarians, I'm like, oh my gosh, how can somebody be vegetarian? It just seems like the hardest thing in the world to do, and they never look healthy. That's totally not true either. Just because they have clear skin and for some reason we put this into our minds as them being unhealthy, but that's totally not true. Completely healthy. And I had blinders on. I never knew that. I never realized how long I had those blinders on, or that I even did. I think that that's another thing, that there's certain things that you only really understand after you've done this, and you come to the realization that, wow, you look back and you're like, wow. And there's a lot to that, and I don't want to go into those parts of it right now because I wanted to just talk about the 5 shockers, and there's a whole lot more to talk about, and I'm interested in what you would like to know. I know that I've gotten some comments, and I do have some other things that I'm working on: vegan shopping list, vegan pantry items, things like that can help you prepare or enhance what you're already doing. And let me know what your thoughts are on things that you would like to hear about. Ask me questions. I mean, anything about being vegan. I am happy to answer, find out the answer for you, recommend you go talk to someone else. I will be happy to help you in your process of learning too. So give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day. Bye-bye.